What's up, guys? Battlegrounds Season 4 is coming, and with it, YouTube is finally gonna meet Roberto, which, in case you don't know who it is, it's the little Pepe in the corner. So, this is an exciting patch. Lots of things changing. It's honestly pretty amazing. So, let's get into it. Starting things off with a new hero. By the way, the theme of the new patch, it's still gonna be like a band kind of theme with like musicians and DJs and all that sort of stuff, following Mr. ETC in his adventures. So I'm very excited for that because I heckin' love this theme. So I'm really happy that it keeps going even in BGs. Now we have the new hero, Rockmaster Woon, and it's basically hero power passive. At the end of every 3 turns, get a plain copy of the leftmost card in your hand. That's actually pretty interesting hero power. So it's kind of like every 3 turns, you get 1 gold, right? Because you get a minion. But it's actually a little better than that, because instead of getting a coin, you get a whole minion. Assuming that your leftmost card is a minion, because if you don't pay attention, you may have like a coin or a blood gem, and then it's not that good. Yeah, this hero power seems really good early on. It can make you triples and stuff like that. Overall, the hero seems okay, and if they just give him a little bit of extra armor to mitigate the fact that you will have to hold some minions in your hand in the early game, which means you're losing fights, I feel like this hero has a lot of potential. And in the late game, it might enable some cool synergies, maybe giving you some neat triples, or maybe you can get extra copies of Selfless Hero, stuff like that. Moving on. New upbeat minions, which is this new mechanic of waiting some turns to proc some effects. Basically the same mechanic we saw with the hero power. We also have a new keyword. Instead of Poisonous, we have Venomous, and some changes to Wind Fury as well. So Venomous is the new keyword that's gonna replace Poison. There is not gonna be any poison in the game whatsoever. All the poisons got removed, and Venomous reads, destroy the first minion this deal damage to. So basically, before you would have a Divine Shield poison, it will attack a minion, kill it, the shield will go away, and then eventually it will attack another minion, and it will kill 2 minions for just 1 minion. Now with the new Venomous keyword, if your Venomous minion has Divine Shield, let's say a plugged Tide Walker has Divine Shield, it attacks, it kills the minion, but then it loses the Venomous effect. So the next time this is gonna attack, it's just gonna deal 2 damage. And yeah, 2 damage is way less than infinite damage, right? So huge nerf to Poison. At the same time though, you can proc Venomous multiple times, just in different ways. Like before, you had a combination with Poison and Divine Shield. Now you can combine Venomous with Reborn. So as you can see, this is an Undead tribe, other than just a Murloc. So with Soul Splitter, for example, you can give this Reborn, and then it kills 2 minions. That being said though, I will say that overall it's a much weaker keyword, especially because, as we all know, granting Divine Shield is way easier than getting a Reborn in this game. So yeah, Poison got nerfed. So all the Redditors and players who hated playing against Poison now don't have to deal with that nearly as much anymore. And Wind Fury got changed as well, but the Wind Fury itself is still the same. It's just that there's no longer gonna be Mega Wind Fury in Battlegrounds. So if you triple a Wind Fury minion, it's still just gonna have Wind Fury. They got rid of Mega Wind Fury, which is a huge buff for any Death Rattle based comps. So Beast and Undeads got buffed as a side effect. On to the tribe changes. Let's start off with Beast, which got a lot of changes. Although Aina is still in the game and didn't got buffed. Weird. We no longer have Alicat, so there is 1 fewer token in the game. Instead, we have Mana Saber. It's a 4/1 Death Rattle, summon 2/0/1 Cablings with Taunt. So, this is a weird effect. Basically, in the early game, this minion is just a 4/1, because if you're on tier 1, you're not gonna have any synergies with this, unless if you have Hyena, I guess. But later on, this card has a lot of synergies with other cards like Leapfrogger, Mama Bear, Fellstomper. So I feel like it's gonna be a solid addition to Beast. It is still a 1-drop, so it's probably not gonna make it to any end comp, but it looks like a nice card, nonetheless. Leapfrogger is still the same, and now we have Hummingbird, another new card. It's 0-3 Beast. Your other beasts have +2 attack. So it doesn't buff itself, it just buffs your other beast, and obviously it has synergy with Mana Saber. Now, I believe this is the first 0 attack unit that we have in the game, so it can't attack himself. And I don't know if I will like this unit better as a 1-3 or as a 0-3. Obviously, being able to deal damage with your unit is nice, but at the same time, if it has 0 attack, that means that it's never going to attack, which makes it more likely for you to get full value out of all of your other beasts before this one goes away. So a little bit of a weird card. I don't know. It seems like whatever 2-drop, to be honest. If you have a bunch of synergies on your board, then you're gonna pick it up, I suppose. Sewer Rat still the same. Now on to tier 3, we have Rylak Metalhead. It's a 3-4 taunt. Taunt for beast, that's already pretty good. Death Rattle, trigger the battle cry of adjacent minions. So this is a weird effect, especially on a beast card, because beasts don't have many battle cries. In fact, the main one that comes to mind, it's Reanimated Rattler, and it's honestly the only one. Like, sure, there is Bone Mare, but Bone Mare is not really a beast battle cry, it's just you get a taunt. At the same time though, this triggers any battle cries, so it may have some synergies with other tribes. You have to keep in mind though that this effect is gonna get applied during combat. So even though you trigger your battle cry, it's still just gonna be a temporary trigger. Like, you're gonna lose the value once the fight is over. Now the question is, how does this work with Murazon? Do you get the card in hand and then at the start of the fight you lose the card? Or are you gonna keep the card forever? Same goes for like Primalfin. So we'll have to see how this works. It's a weird effect. Doesn't seem too good in a beast comp, but might work in other comps. Banana Slamma. 3-drop 2-5. After you summon a beast in combat, double its stats. Now, that's an effect. This is basically the new Burbuddy, I will say. Like, if you have this with a Rat Pack, your Rat Pack summons 2s, which is pretty good. And then later on, it keeps scaling. Like, let's say you get a Mama Bear or a Sly Raptor, then this Banana Slamma keeps getting more and more value. So I will say it's a solid addition for beasts overall. Gets a lot of synergies along the way, keeps you alive. Basically what Burbuddy used to do. Probably a little weaker though early on, and maybe a little better later on once you get more synergies, but at that point you just sell this. So yeah, I would say overall seems like a slight downgrade on Burbuddy. And now we have Rat Packs still staying the same thing for Mako, Rattler, these are all the same. And now there is Pale Scale Crocolisk, which is technically an old card, but it's returning to the minion pool, so maybe some of you do not know this card even existed. So it's a 5-drop 4-5, Avenge 2 and Death Rattle, give another friendly beast +6/+6. So we all know the Avenge keyword, right? Once 2 minions are dead, something gets +6/+6. It cannot buff itself. This card used to be pretty strong when it was in the game, but that was prior to Fellstomper. Nowadays, if you compare Crocolisk to Fellstomper, it's obviously a much weaker card. So back then, you used to triple into tier 5 and try to get either Mama Bear or Croc, and then build a comp, level to tier 5 and get more of them. And nowadays though, with Fellstomper and some new 5-6 drops getting added for Beast, I feel like you're probably not gonna triple into this Croc card, but it's still a synergy with Mama Bear. I don't know if I'll play Crocolisk in a Fellstomper comp though, because it doesn't have Reborn itself, so Now, Bonmare and Blanchi stay the same. Octosari Rap God. It's a new 6-drop for Beast. 6/7. Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 Tentacle. It gains +2/+2 permanently after you summon a minion in combat. Basically, the way in which I think this is gonna work is that once this thing dies, you summon this tentacle, and then the tentacle can start growing. If you want your tentacle to grow, you need to taunt your Octosari, or else it's gonna stay small. And if that's the case, I feel like this card is not so good. But if the tentacle can grow while it's still inside the Octosari, then this card is super broken. Because you can just give it Reborn, put it in the back, and every fight you're just gonna summon infinite stats tentacles. So I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this card, because I don't know how this mechanic is gonna work. If the tentacle gets buffed while Octosari is still alive, then the card is insanely broken. But if Octosari needs to die and summon the tentacle, and then the tentacle gets the buffs, then seems okay. And that's it for Beast. Fellstomper and Coiler are just staying exactly the same. I guess technically Gas Coiler may change a little bit, because the Death Rattle minion pool is changing. Like, for example, we see Octosari here. But yeah. Now we have Murlocs, which are getting a huge rework. The 1-drop stayed the same, so we still have Rock Pool, which is a very underwhelming card. Also keep in mind, Poison is gone. We now have Venomous, which is a much weaker keyword. And Tad gets nerfed. So yeah, feels bad, man. Now you can't really buy Tad, you just have to cycle it. It's kind of like a weaker Patient Scout. And Patient Scout is a neutral. This is supposed to be like a main selling point for Murlocs, but hey, it got nerfed. And we get Upbeat Flutist. 2/5, so pretty big stats. At the end of every 2 turns, give a random minion in your hand +9 health. 2 turns left. This is an okay effect for such a big minion especially. Is it a good Murloc though? I don't think so. Is it a good minion? Seems solid. At the same time, you need to keep in mind the fact that you have to hold your minion for a fight, but once you get +9 health on a minion, you're probably gonna win the next couple of fights, so it seems like a fair trade-off. Especially for heroes that can get minions for cheap, like Cyrilla and Scabs and Yogg and all these kind of things. Skyfin stays the same, but now we get back Southscale Honcho, which used to be one of the best Murlocs back when this was in the game. At the same time though, the main reason why this minion was so good is because Toxfin used to be on tier 4. So basically you'll get a lot of health on your Murlocs and then just give them poison. Once they moved Toxfin to tier 6, this card became so much worse. And now that there isn't poison at all, I don't know if this is gonna be any good, to be honest. Tier 3, Call Light Seer stays the same. We lose Swolfin and the 4/4 Murloc that buffs everything +1/+1. And instead we get Scorpion, which is a 6/3. Give a random minion in your hand +1/+1 as a Death Rattle. Once again, this is not really a Murloc card. It's a hand buff card, and it's a pretty good buff. It's kind of the same thing as here. It's gonna be pretty good once you get it going, but you're probably gonna lose 1 or 2 fights in the process. But after that, keep getting +5/+5 for free every turn. It seems pretty insane. Not a Murloc though, just a good card. So tier 3 is looking really good. And then tier 4, this stays the same. I don't know why it's here. Maybe they tried it as a tier 3 for a while and then they moved it back to 4. But honestly, I feel like this could be a tier 3 and maybe that will save Murlocs, because Murlocs are looking pretty bad. Bream Counter, 4-drop, 4/4. While this is in your hand, after you play a Murloc, gain +3/+3. +3/+2, sorry. Yeah, this card is absolutely unplayable, unless if you are playing Flurgle, then maybe it's okay. But outside of Flurgle, this card seems terrible. Then we have Basgil. The 6/2 Murloc. Death Rattle, summon the highest health minion from your hand for this combat only. It's an interesting card, but is it good? Once again, if you're playing Flurgle and you have this big boy in your hand, chances are you're also buffing your Murlocs, maybe? I don't know, like where are the Murlocs buffs? They're all gone. But yeah, if you can make this big enough, which I doubt you're gonna be able to do, then it's a pretty good minion because it's a threat in itself, and then once it dies, it's gonna summon another threat from your hand potentially. Like maybe you can keep a small hand and then this dies and summons like a Mounted Queen or a Leroy, something like that. Or maybe you can just have a Bram counter in your hand, and then when this dies, it's gonna summon your big Murlocs from your hand. But yeah, I don't know, it's a really cool effect to have on a Murloc, like Murlocs with Death Rattles, kinda cool. Right now, I don't see it. I don't see Murlocs working. Then we have the 2/7 Venomous. So this is basically just a poison on tier 4. But you can't give it Divine Shield. You must give it Reborn if you want to get extra value out of it. And now on tier 5, we have a 5/2 Operatic Belcher. Venomous, Death Rattle, give a friendly Murloc Venomous. Basically, if you have 2 Murlocs, then you have 2 poisons. I guess something you could do with this is you could have a Divine Shield on position 1, and then you taunt this in the back, and then they kill this. Like this attacks with Divine Shield that kills a minion, then this dies, it should be able to give it back the Venomous. Kind of a cheesy synergy. It's also just a good Murloc to have in your Murloc comp, I suppose. Like I guess this is the new way to play Poison Murlocs, right? Still seems kinda bad. And now we have Coral Murgle. 6/6. Start of combat, gain the stats of all minions in your hand. So you can have a nice synergy with Buzzkill. If you make a big Bream counter in your hand, then you get the stats twice, right? Let's say you have a 50/50 Bream counter in your hand. At the start of the game, this is going to become a 56/56 plus any other stats that you have in your hand potentially. And then once Buzzkill dies, it's going to summon the beam counter. Once again, kind of a pretty cool synergy for Flurg, but it's a tier 6, and it's really hard for Flurg to get to tier 6. So, seems underwhelming. And lastly, we have Young Murkai, which went from an 8/5 to a 7/4, although the effect can now trigger on any Battlecry. It no longer has to be a Murloc Battlecry. So more synergies open up for this card nowadays. We will see what will happen with it. But yeah, it seems interesting. Although at the same time, you basically have no synergies within the Murloc tribes. You only have Bagurgle and Collates here. And you no longer have the Seafood Slinger. Murlocs are looking all over the places, to be honest. Because like their identity used to be poison and AoE buffs. They lost the poison, they now have like 2 AoE buffs, but Collates here is not good at all. Because if you're buffing minions that don't have poison, like what's the point? So they just have Bagurgle. Am I gonna play Murlocs just to play Bagurgle? No shot. And now they're getting a new identity, which is like hand buff. I don't see it, man. Like if you play hand buff in Battlegrounds, you're just gonna die. You don't want to hold your cards. You want to play them. Like you want to play as many cards as possible. So yeah, Murlocs are looking grim. They're probably the worst tribe in the game at this point. Moving on, we have Dragons, which used to be the weakest tribe in the game. So let's see what they've done with them. Surely they've buffed them, right? So on tier 1, we see Dozy Whelp and a new 1-drop. So no more Red Whelp and no more Chroma Wing. I don't think anyone is gonna miss Red Whelp. Chroma Wing used to be kinda decent, but to be honest, I like Red Whelp better. And now we have Upbeat Front Drake, which is a 1-cost 2/1. At the end of every 3 turns, get another random dragon. And this is pretty sick economy right there. So basically, you just get this on turn 1, and you start farming dragons for free. This card is insanely busted, right? It says another random dragon, so I don't think you can get upbeat. I don't think it can give you pairs, but it's still pretty good. You just have to make sure that you level up before this procs, right? Because you want to get a tier 2 dragon out of it. If you get a dozy whelp on turn 4, it's not very good. It's just a 0-3. So I guess in a way, if they would have kept Chroma Wing in the game, it would have actually been a buff to this card. So yeah, the more I look into it, the more I think that Dozy was definitely the responsible choice in this case. But still, seems like a really good card and a huge buff to Ysera. I think Ysera is gonna be a very, very solid hero just because of this one drop. Now, moving to tier 2, we have Low Flyer. It's a 3-2 dragon. At the end of your turn, give +2 attack to your minions with less attack than this. So, this is the new take on that dragon that used to buff +1 attack on all your dragons at the end of the turn. And honestly, this seems just better, right? It's +2 attack, and it's also not only for dragons, it just buffs every minion. So it's gonna buff your Whelp Smuggler and any other minion you have on your board. Honestly, this card seems kinda busted. By itself, it's not too busted though, because it's just a 3-2. It's gonna bring everything up to 3. But if you can scale it up, it's such an insane card. So let's say you get Low Flyer plus Twilight Emissary, then your whole board has 5 attack. In the early game, that's basically poison. So yeah, Ysera looking pretty good, I will say. All these ones are just staying the same. Terragosa is back to tier 3. They moved it to tier 4 during the buddy meta because she has some sneaky busted synergies with a lot of buddies that we experienced during the first wave of buddies. So this time around, they just moved it to tier 4 right away to take care of all those cheesy strats. And now we have a new 4-drop. Stormbringer. It's a 1/7. After a friendly dragon gains attack, this also gains it. So, by itself is not too strong. But once you get more synergies going, and especially if you have a Whelp Smuggler on your board, I feel like this card has some potential. It looks okay. Not crazy, but doesn't seem like the worst thing ever. Although it may be. It's just a 1/7. But I don't know. In combo with stuff like the Smolder Wings here, it seems okay. And as a tier 5, we have Sanctum Rester. Start of combat, give your other dragons +8 health. Oh wait, this thing buffs health? I thought this thing buffed attack. Okay, yeah, this seems kinda bad. It's okay tempo though for a dragon comp. Like basically this is the new Razorgore kinda. Don't think I like this too much. I feel like Whelp Smuggler is probably a better way to gain health on your dragons, and it's a tier 2. Muro's still the same. Electric Synthesizer. New tier 5 dragon, 3/7, so huge. Battlecry, give your other dragons +4 attack. I don't know why this is a 5-drop. Honestly, I would like it way better as a 4-drop, but maybe it will be too strong for Ysera. I don't know. Either way, it's an extra Battlecry in the dragon pool, so can't complain about it really. And it has nice synergy with Whelp Smuggler. Then Disco Shuffler. Choose one. Trigger a friendly minion's Battlecry or discover a Battlecry minion. This card seems pretty good, obviously in a Kali comp and in a Bran comp, Menagerie comp. Like if you're playing any comp that cares about Battlecries, then you're probably always buying this. It kind of feels like Friend of a Friend in a way. But instead of discovering a body, you just discover a battle cry. Pretty insane card, I will say. Seems very strong. And also, if you already have a battle cry that you like on your board, you can just trigger that instead. So yeah, seems pretty good. And now, Kali and Nadina, they look the same, right? And Nadina is actually the same, but Kali got changed. After you trigger a battle cry, give your dragons +1/+1. So in the past, it used to read after you play a battle cry, but now it's after you trigger, which it's a huge difference. So first of all, it has synergy with Disco Shuffler. It also has synergy with Young Murkai that we saw previously. Although I don't know how good the synergy will be now that Toxfin is gone. But most importantly, it has synergy with Bran. So if you have a Kaligos on your board and you have a Bran, every battle cry you play, it's gonna trigger Kaligos twice. So now you basically have a golden Kaligos. And that's pretty cool. Also, it has synergy with Shadowwalk Hero Power, and I believe that's about it. But yeah, it seems really, really good. Good change for Kaligos, much better than before. So, that being said though, single Kaligos is still just gonna be the same. You will still need to find the Bran or whatever else other synergy that you need, but it's definitely a better card than before. And especially with the addition of Upbeat Front-Rake, I feel like dragons are gonna be pretty playable, and especially Sarah is looking kinda busted. Moving on to elementals, tier 1 stays the same. On tier 2, we lose Party Elemental and we gain Flourishing Frostling. 0/4 has +1 attack for each elemental you played this game, wherever it is. So as a standalone, this card is not that strong. If you start with this elemental on turn 1, then on turn 3, you sell this elemental, you play the droplet, you play this, it's a 3/4. 3/4 stat line on tier 2, it's not that great. It's kinda whatever. So yeah, this card seems like a bad 2-drop, although it seems like a reasonable card to get later on. Because if you have played a critical mass of elementals, and especially if you have buffed your shops with stuff like Nomi, then maybe this is gonna be a big minion, and if you triple it, it's kinda like a poison. Overall though, it seems like an underwhelming card for elemental. Not a big fan. Molten is the same. Cyclone is the same, although the golden version is no longer gonna have Mega Wind Fury. These are all the same. And then Dancing Barnstormer. It's a new 4-drop. 4/2. Death Rattle. Elementals in Bob's Tavern have +2/+2. So this is the new version of Dazzling Lightspawn. It seems okay. It's not that easy to get more than 2 procs out of a Lightspawn anyway. Especially in some lobbies. Because elementals don't have any Death Rattles. Like, they don't have any summons within their own tribe. So I'll say this card is fine, whatever. Upbeat Upstart. 4/4 Taunt. At the end of every 2 turns, set this minion's health to the highest health in your warband. So this seems kinda bad. I would like this card way better if it was like an 8 attack and 2 health minion. Because like, this thing only has 4 attacks, so even if you give it like 20 health, it's still gonna be bad. And then we have a new 5-drop, the Gusty Boy. It's a 4/5. After you sell 6 elementals, add a random elemental to your hand. Is this supposed to be what? This seems too slow. So I guess they're trying to make you play Nomi on tier 5, but if you do that, you're just gonna die. Yeah, this card seems bad. If they lower the number to like self 4, it will be kinda OP. If they make it self 5, maybe it's gonna be okay. Then we have the Rocky Rock. 4/4, after you play an elemental, give your minions +1 attack, swap to health next turn. Do you really wanna play elementals when you have this card? It seems like a weird card. Like, I guess you can play any comp with Rock and Recycling Wraith and Bran, and you just play a bunch of elementals. But it seems very slow. This gives me Leader Rag vibes. And Leader Rag on tier 6 was unplayable. On tier 5 it was okay. So yeah, I feel like this minion should be a tier 5. As a tier 6 it seems really bad. But maybe, I hope I'm wrong. And lastly, we have Elemental of Surprise. It's an 8/8 Divine Shield. This minion can triple with any elemental. So this is pretty cool. First of all, if you triple into this, you get an 8/8 Divine Shield. That's okay. It's worse than the 6/6 Undead though. And it's probably also worse than Coiler by itself. But not only you're tripling into an 8/8, you're tripling into an 8/8 that's most likely gonna give you a big triple with Divine Shield later. So I feel like this is gonna be like one of the main 6-drops to triple into when you go for a 6-drop. Like, you go for the win cons, and then if you don't get a win condition, you pick this one, and then next turn you triple an elemental and basically get another discover. So seems like a solid 6-drop. Now when it comes to elementals, I don't think it's gonna help them that much, because when you're playing elementals, you're playing Nomi, you're playing on tier 4. So how the hell are you gonna get this card? I have no idea. It's obviously an amazing card, but elementals don't really play on tier 6, unless if they're playing a Leader Rag comp. But guess what? Leader Rag is gone, and Genie is gone, and Gar is gone, and all the payoff for being playing elementals is gone, other than Nomi. So if you're playing Nomi, you're not playing the surprise elemental because you're on tier 4. So overall, I'd say elementals got kinda wrecked as a tribe, similarly to Murloc. But in the past few months, like ever since Magmaloc came out, Murlocs and elementals have been among the best tribes in a way. So it's okay for them to take a step back. And Magmaloc is still an amazing card. But yeah, I'd say overall elementals are looking weaker. At the same time though, with Poison being gone, Nomi gets better as a win condition. Because once you pop off with Nomi, like, the main losing condition was people playing Divine Shield Poisons against you, and they cannot do that anymore. So if you live long enough to get your Nomi comp together, you're gonna be more likely to win the game. Before we jump into the next tribe, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much if you did it. Let's move on. On to Naga. Tier 1 stays the same, but we have some changes on Tier 2. Deep Sea Angler is now Spellcraft, give a minion +4 health. Before it used to be +3, so I got a small buff. And we have a Reefer, which is a new 2-drop, 1/3, Spellcraft, give a minion stats equal to your Tavern tier until next turn. So Shoal Commander also got removed, and this is basically the new Shoal Commander, and it's on tier 2. So on its own, it's like a 3/5, which is solid stats for tier 2. That's pretty good. And as you level, it gets slightly better. It's very, very good. On top of that, if you get a Lava Lurker, then it's insane, because you're just building a big Lava Lurker for free on tier 2. So yeah, this is nuts. Insane synergy. And just because of this synergy alone, I think Naga are gonna be among the best tribes for sure. They are most likely gonna be the best scaling tribe in the game. And then beasts are also looking good, so the beasts are gonna try to smoke them down. Because look at this, Eventide Brute is also a 3-drop now. So even more synergies for Naga. It's a 3-2 though, slightly smaller stats, but it doesn't really matter, right? If you get a Brute on tier 3, it's way better than getting it on tier 4. You can start scaling it way faster. So yeah, Brute's looking pretty good too. And then we have Zetsi Shaker. 3-4 Naga. Once per turn, after you cast a spellcraft spell on this, add a new copy of it to your hand. Honestly, this card seems pretty mediocre, but when you go 3-on-3, you might bite sometimes. Let's say you go 3-on-3 and you get Zetsi Shaker plus Reef Reaper. Like, you can just buy them both, and then you give +3/+3 to each of them. So yeah, it's not a great card, but sometimes you will buy it on tier 3 if you have synergies for it. Pash is still good, just the same. And on 4 we have Deep Blue Crooner. 2-2 Naga, so pretty small. Spellcraft, give a minion +1/+1 until next turn. Improve your future Deep Blues. So this is a 3-3, and then it's a 4-4, and then it's a 5-5, and so on and so forth. This type of effect seems really, really bad, especially on a tier 4 minion. It has synergy with Zetsi Shaker. Like, you get this, you give +1/+1 to the Zetsi, and then you give +2/+2 to something else. But yeah, this, for a 4-drop, this thing seems complete garbage. Absolutely unplayable. Maybe they will move it to tier 3, or maybe they will just give it more stats. Like, why in the hell am I ever buying a 2-2? I will never do that for such effect. Like, you only buy this when you have double Atisha on your board. So yeah, this card is terrible. But this card is nuts. Silent Swimmer, 5-3. Give a minion +3/+5 and stealth until next turn. So by himself, it's an 8-8, which is okay stats for tier 4. It's actually pretty good. 8-8 stealth. And it's also aggressively statted, which is nice. And then it gives a defensive buff, +5 health and stealth. So you can stealth your Mama Bear, you can stealth your Tidus, you can stealth your Myrmidon. It gets a bunch of stats, and it's less likely to get poisoned. Yeah, this card is just insane. You can also stealth a Pufferquill, I guess. And Pufferquill now gets Venomous until next turn. So no more Glowscale plus Pufferquill. Yeah, Pufferquill took a huge hit. You're probably not gonna see this card anymore. Corrupted Myrmidon stays the same. Yeah, everything else just stays the same. So yeah, Naga got insanely buffed. Like, basically, before, Naga was just a strong late game comp with like Glowscale, Critter, Atisha, and Orgozoa all being strong, and the early game being weak. And now the early game is just insane because Reef Reaper is on tier 2, which is basically Shock Commander instead of being on tier 3, and Brute is on tier 3 instead of being on tier 4. So yeah, that's insane. Naga are gonna be busted. That's my prediction. Then again, though, Naga is kind of a difficult tribe to play, so I don't know if they will be that good at lower ranks. And at high ranks, even though Naga are really good, people are very good at playing tempo, so they can kill you with Mechs and Beast and stuff like that. But yeah, they still seem like the best scaling comp to me right now. Now Undeads. We lost the null on tier 1. Instead, we get Incorporeal Corporal, which is a guy that used to be in the Putricide Hero power. It's a 5/5 undead. After this minion attacks, destroy it. So it's a worse version of Bablet. And yeah, I don't like this card, and I hope they remove it soon. Not a fan. It doesn't add anything to the game. It's just a bad card whenever you get it. Like sometimes you're gonna buy this and put it at the end of your comp if you're on tier 1, and then you just hope that they attack into it, and then they never attack into it, and then this attacks a 1/1 and dies. Such a bad card. I don't know why this is in the game. Like, the thing is, right, this card is not good, right? It's not interesting, and it doesn't feel good to play. So why is it in the game? I don't know. What does it add? Nothing. But yeah, moving on. Scarlet Skull, Nerubian, Death Warmer, Eternal Knight. These things are all staying the same. Yeah, tier 2 stays the same. I mean, obviously we shouldn't expect too many changes for Undeads since they're just the latest tribe, I suppose. And now we have Radio Star, which is a 3/1. Death Rattle, add a plain copy of the minion that killed this to your hand. So this is basically a better version of the 3/3 Naga that gives you a coin. Because this one always dies, just as 1 health, and it doesn't give you a coin, it gives you a whole minion. So yeah, this card seems pretty broken. Insane card. Is it a good undead? Not really, it's just an insane card. At least the Naga guy gave you a coin, which has synergies with Naga. Like, why is this a thing? Like, where is the synergy with Undead? There's no synergy. It's just a broken card randomly put into Undeads. Ghoul is the same. Oh wait, we don't have Belly anymore. Okay. I mean, Belly was kind of a underwhelming card. Nobody really bought it. It was good sometimes. And tier 4, we don't have the buff anymore. +2/+7 is gone. So it's now harder to buff the Blanchie. Instead of the buff, we have a 2/7 poison. That's actually a pretty big nerf to Undeads. It's like, it's almost as bad as taking Reborn out of Beast, like the Rattler card. Because the 2/7 is really, really important to play around Blaster. And now you just have to find Uther if you want to do that. Wow, that's such a massive nerf, actually. Didn't see that one coming. And we have a new 4-drop as well. Xylo Bones. After you summon a minion in combat, gain +3 health permanently. So it's a different take on Abomination. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this card. Seems kind of bad. Although, maybe it's a good minion to buy on tier 4, like just for tempo, maybe. But it doesn't really feel like an undead card to me. And everything else just stays the same. So yeah, undeads got nerfed for some reason. This card is useless. This card is worse than the 1/4 that we had before. This card is broken, but it's not an undead card. If anything, this is gonna help the broken heroes high roll into other broken strategies that are not undeads and that are not undeads related. So this is also kind of a nerf to the tribe. And you got a random poison, I guess, and you can give it Reborn. So I guess that's what Undeads is going for. I guess. Yeah. I guess Undeads have a poison to counter the big strategies. Because like when you play Undeads, let's be honest, you're not really playing Undeads. You're either playing an Ubarak, and then this doesn't matter, or you're playing Eternal Summoner, and then you have a lot of board space. So maybe you can just play this poison plus a Soul Splitter or something like that. Alright, whatever. Pirates. Dude, why is this so small? Are there less pirates than any other tribe? They all fit in 2 lines. We still have Scallywag, but we don't have Eliza anymore. So what's the point of Scully? I don't know. And instead of Swabby, we have South Sea Baskier. It's a 3-1. Battlecry, gain 1 gold next turn. So this is a more interesting take on Swabby. So it's gonna be better than Swabby in the early game and worse than Swabby in the mid game. Because you can't, like, basically with Swabby sometimes you will play it and then level, and that will fix your curve in a way. With this you can't really do that because you still have to wait 1 turn. You can't do that thing in the same turn. But at the same time, playing this on turn 2 is gonna be way stronger than playing Swabby on turn 2. Because basically what you used to do with Swabby is like you just buy it and then you hold it and then you level and play it. And then you can go to tier 3. With this one, you can buy it and hold it, then you play it, level, and then on turn 3, you have 6 gold. So you can still level, but if you get a good shop, you can also just double buy and stay on tier 2. It also has some synergy with stuff like this one that we will talk about in a moment. Thorn Captain still in. Rip's Nari Captain, it's now a 2-drop. Whenever a friendly pirate attacks, give it +3 attack. We don't have the 3-3 anymore, we have this guy instead. Like, we don't have South Sea Captain. It buffs itself, so it's like a 5-4 when it attacks. Yeah, it seems kind of bad. I guess it's also better with Scallywag. Maybe this is actually good, right? The issue is that you can no longer value trade, but giving +3 attack to a 1-1 pirate is actually kind of good. I don't know. I'd say it's kind of whatever. Probably worse than South Sea overall. Because, like, let's say you are playing patches, you have double South Sea, you are super strong, you're chilling. With Rip's Nari, I'll say that 1 Rip's Nari, it's kind of as good as a South Sea Captain, but double Rip's Nari is definitely worse than double South Sea. Because you want health in the early game. So these cards are still good. They're just the same. And then on tier 3, we have Gunpowder Courier. After you spend 5 gold, give your pirates +1 attack. 5 gold left. So it also buffs itself. I think this card should be a 2-5 in order to be good. As a 2 attack 4 health minion, it seems underwhelming. If you have a bunch of pirates, maybe you'll get it anyway. I don't know. Then we have Bloodsail Cannoneer. Battlecry, give your other pirates +3 attack, and it's a 4-3. Like, yeah, why would you ever buy Gunpowder when you can just buy Bloodsail Cannoneer? I don't know. And Bloodsail Cannoneer is not even that good of a card. But yeah, so basically the early game for pirates, it's still just as wacky as it used to be in the past. Pirates still have shitty early game. Thor Captain is still good, Gambler is still good, and this is basically a buff on Swabby. So the good cards are still good, if not better. And the bad cards are still bad. And we don't have Pip anymore for easy triples, I guess. On tier 4 though, here comes the Spies. I have no idea how to read this, but yeah, basically the dealer is a 2-2 pirate. After you gain a gold, gain +1/+1. So how do you gain gold? Well, you gain gold when you sell minions, or when you play South Sea Baskier, or with some other pirate synergies. But most importantly, you gain gold when you sell minions. Does that sound familiar? Maybe it doesn't, but I'll show you. This is basically a Magmaloc on tier 4. Because you sell your minions, like Magmaloc gets +1/+1 for each minion you play this turn, right? So you play a minion, it gets +1/+1. But what do you do after you play a minion? Well, guess what? You just sell it. So yeah, this is basically like tier 4 Magmaloc. It has slightly less stats in a way, because Magmaloc already gets +1/+1 by default, even if you played 0 minions. But it also has extra synergies on top of that, because it not only gains stats every time you sell a minion, it also gains stats in other ways, like with South Sea Basker, and I don't know how many ways we will have to gain gold. Like, I'm not thinking about that, but just the fact that this is basically a Magmaloc on tier 4 it's busted. That's just what it is. It also has synergy with Peggy, makes it even better. So yeah, this card is a busted pirate. And you can play it together with Magmaloc. Obviously, the downside compared to Magmaloc is that pirates don't have a Primal Fin, right? When you play Magmaloc, you can just play Primal Fin, and then you get a bunch of Murlocs, you can get more Magmalocs. And also, sometimes you can get Magmaloc through the Elemental that gives you more Elementals in your hand. So this one is harder to find, but it's a 4-drop, so there are more copies in the pool. Now we have Blade Collector, which is a 3/2 pirate. Also damages the minions next to whomever this attacks. So Beasts no longer have Hydra, but now the Hydra moved over to the pirates. And yeah, this card seems pretty busted, because the one issue with Hydra, and also with Foe Reaper to an extent, is that Beasts don't have any ways to buff the Hydra. At least Mechs have magnetics with like Mega Draxus and stuff like that. Pirates, on the other hand, have Blood Cell Cannoneer, which is honestly not that great, so they also don't have great ways to buff Cleaves, right? Well, no, it's wrong. They have Peggy, which is a freaking insane card already. And now, imagine you can have a Peggy on your board that buffs your Hydra. How insane is that? So pirates now have an insane engine on tier 4. And I predict that they're gonna probably move Peggy to tier 5 now that Blade Collector exists. On top of that, they also have Lovesick Balladist. It's a 3/4 pirate, Battlecry. Give a pirate +1 health for each gold you spent this turn. So yeah, this card is insane. You can just give your Cleave infinite health, so it never dies. Yeah, these 4-drops for pirates, they all look fucking busted as fuck, man. So yeah, I will say that pirates as a whole tribe don't look too hot, but the 4-drop, man, they are just one better than the other. It's actually mind-blowing. They're all busted. Then we have Vanessa Van Cleef, which got changed again, back to what it was initially, which is 3/7, give a pirates +2 attack whenever this attacks. And yeah, that's a good change. Giving +2/+2 was also very, very strong. But usually you will need to combine that with Eliza, because the Vanessa itself was pretty small. So now Vanessa is big again, but it gives less stats. I like this change. I think it's good. And then Record Smuggler. It's the new Ogar. 7/6. At the start of your turn, gain 1 gold. Repeat for each other friendly pirate. This effect is not bad by any means, but it's a 5-drop. If you already have like 1 or 2 pirates on your board, actually no, you need to have 2 pirates because it doesn't count itself. Then I don't like it too much. I guess if you have double 4-drop, then it's really good, right? Oh, because it's repeat, so this guys also get stats, right? Like let's say you have double dealer plus smuggler. At the start of your turn, you get 2 gold and you get +4/+4 worth of stats. That's not too bad. Also, let's say you have 2 of these and then you have 2 record smuggler. Then at the start of your turn, you get 6 gold and 12/12 worth of stats. It keeps getting better. But then again, you need the dealer in the first place, or else you can't really play the smuggler. And I don't know, like if you have Peggy plus Collector, I don't think you want to play the smuggler. Maybe you can end on it, and then next turn you get 2 gold for free. But once you start cycling your stuff, I don't think you want to lose buffs. You just want to get all the buffs on your cleave. Okay card, I will say. Having one of these, it's better than having one Ogar. Having multiples of this is definitely worse than having multiple Ogars. Let's put it that way. Upbeat Impressionist. At the end of every 2 turns, make a random pirate in your hand golden. So there's a pretty cool effect, right? They're really into this thing, pirates making golden things, right? But there isn't even Gold Grabber anymore, so I don't know why they keep pushing this. Because so far, it looks like the new pirate identity is like AoE buffs. You know, all these things buff attack, so plus attack AoE buffs, and then getting extra gold. But for some reason, they also want pirate to get golden cards. This card seems pretty okay. Pretty good, actually. Because pirates, they used to have a legendary, which was a 9/6, that will give you a random golden minion in your hand every 2 turns, I believe. With this one, you get to kind of choose what you want to make golden, although you have to spend money for it, you have to buy it. And then you play it and you get a discover. But when it comes down to actual pirate synergies, I feel like unless you already won the game, this card is not a good pirate card. Because all the good stuff that you want to make golden, they're all cards that you want to have on your board. Like Record Smuggler, sure, it's an amazing golden card, but if it's not on your board, it's not doing anything. It's super slow. Same thing for Vanessa, same thing for Peggy, same thing for the 4-drop. So what are you making golden with this? Just a gambler, I guess, if you are lucky enough to find it? Or most likely just any other random pirate and then you just get a discover. So yeah, this Upbeat Impressionist kind of feels like you triple into a 5-drop and then you don't get anything that you like. You pick this one and then you make sure to have a pirate in your hand by the time this procs and get another discover later on. That's what it feels like to me. Which is kind of upsetting, to be honest. I don't think that was the design. Like, I don't think that was what they intended with this. But I think that's what it's gonna end up being used for. Because at high MMR, holding your Record Smuggler or your Vanessa or anything else is just not gonna work out. Unless if, once again, you're already very far ahead and you can afford to be that much weaker in order to get the golden version. And now we have the new 6-drop. Flat Admiral Thetis. 5/6 pirate. After you spend 8 gold, get another random pirate. 8 gold left. So this is kind of like a genie. But if you don't have any gold left when you triple into it, it's not going to do anything. It's going to be worse than Genie. Because Genie was a 4/6 taunt that summoned something else. This is just a 5/6. So it's a little bit less stats than a Genie. Unless if you can get, if you triple into it and you still have enough gold to get the proc on the same turn. Obviously, it has some extra gold synergy with the tribe. Like, pirates get some few extra golds, but overall it doesn't seem that great. Although at the same time, as we pointed out at the beginning, pirates don't have that many minions, right? How many minions are there? Only 16 pirates in the game, plus amalgam, I guess. So, and you can't get itself. So basically this is a 1 in 16 chance to give you the pirate that you like, but we'll have to see. Because is this gonna give you the same chance to get any pirate? Or is it actually gonna count, you know, the fact that there are more 1-drops in the pool and less 5-drops and stuff like that? We'll have to see. But if this just gives you a 1 in 16 to get any pirates you like, then it looks pretty good, right? Because half the time it's just going to give you something really good. Like, all of these are really good. Like, everything from 4-drop and above is pretty nice when it comes to pirates. And Gambler is obviously free. So yeah, actually this card, it has potential. We'll have to see. If it's just a 50-50, whether you get a good card or a bad card, then this seems good. But if you're always gonna get like crappy 1-drops, then this seems kinda useless. Demons! Perhaps the class that got the most new cards. We still have Weaver, but it got improved. It now gets +2/+1 and it's a 1/4. That's already a pretty insane buff. On top of that, we have the Soul Rewinder. 3/1 Demon. After your hero takes damage, rewind it and give this +1 health. Lich Buzz fans are rejoicing right now. Imagine if you get this on Lich Buzz, your hero power is free and this minion gets buffed. So you basically get your buddy. Yeah, this is basically the new Katranatir or Mal'Ganis or whatever you want to call it. It started all the way back on tier 5, then it went down to tier 3 with Katranatir, and it's now a 2-drop. And yeah, as a 2-drop, it's probably gonna be broken, right? Especially because there are more self-damaging synergies incoming. We have the Backstage Security 4/6 Demon on tier 2. That's crazy stats. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. So first of all, this card seems honestly just good by itself. Like a 4/6, it's gonna kill 2 3-drops pretty much. Or 3 2-drops. Or 2.5 2-drops. Like it's very strong. Like this goes 1 for 2 every time. Sometimes even 1 for 3 in the early game. And then after your hero takes damage, rewind it and this gets +1 health. Like if you have the synergy, this thing is free. And it just scales you. Like it's so insane. But obviously the Soul Rewinder is the most insane card. And keep in mind, this also has synergy with Leeching Fellhound. Like if you have a Soul Rewinder on your board, you happen to roll into a Leeching Fellhound, well, guess what? +1 gold, you get a free 3/3 and this gets buffed. So insane. And the reason why they got rid of Mal'Ganis or Katranatir, which used to give you immune, it's because they're adding some different synergies. We have the Keyboard Igniter. Battlecry, if you have taken damage since last turn, give your other demons +1/+2. So in the past, if you were immune, you wouldn't take damage to begin with. Now the Soul Rewinder just heals you back. So you have this 4/2, which is okay stats, that gives your whole board of demons +1/+2. Very strong effect. It also buffs the Rewinder. Very good card. It also has synergy with Legion Overseer. Kinda brings it back to pre-nerf. This used to be a 4/4. So yeah, pretty okay buff for demons. And we also have Mal'Sazar, Prince of Dance. 5/2. 2 refreshes each turn cost health instead of gold. So basically you can pay 2 health to get 2 rolls. 2 rolls are usually not as good as 2 gold. They are worth a little less, because you can use gold to power level. You cannot really use rolls to power level. So I don't think this card is good at all. In fact, I feel like if you don't have a Soul Rewinder or a way to get immune on your hero, this card seems unplayable. But if you have a Soul Rewinder, then this card is insanely broken. Battlemaster is now on tier 4, but it's a 3/1. Honestly, ever since they changed the armor mechanic and they brought all the heroes down to 30 health, this card has felt insanely underwhelming to me. So honestly, I feel like they should probably just remove it or rework it. Matron, still the same, still amazing, but we no longer have Big Fernal, which used to have very strong synergies with Ring Matron. We also don't have Voidlord anymore, which is a slight nerf to Fellstomper. Yeah, Ring Matron got a little bit worse because there is no more Big Fernal in the game. But at the same time, it got a little bit better because there isn't the other guy anymore. The Voidlord. Man, Voidlord used to be such a cool card. Why did they get rid of that? Maybe there are some new cool 5-drop. Let's look into that. We have the Imposing Percussionist. 6/6. Battlecry. Discover a demon. Deal damage to your hero equal to its tier. So, once again, if you don't have Soul Rewinder, you're not buying this card. But if you do have Soul Rewinder, then this card is the nuts. Although, I guess if you have an Urzul on your board, you can still buy this and hopefully you will discover a 1-drop. And then you don't take too much damage, right? And you get double proc on your Urzul. Then again, Urzul doesn't see that much play. They got rid of Doomsayer, which, you know, used to be the main way in which you will play Urzul. But I guess now that Weaver has more synergies, you're definitely gonna play Urzul if you triple into it. But we'll talk about that later. And then we have Thick Ondrius. 4/4 demon, pretty small. After your hero take damage, give your other demons +1/+1. It's kind of like a Light Fang. Yeah, this card seems kind of bad. Wait, actually, this buffs the Soul Rewinder. Never mind, this card is okay. Just because Soul Rewinder is so broken and you want to buff it. Never mind. Soul Rewinder, it's fine. Although, I feel like I would like this better as a 6/6. You know, it's a demon. Make it a 6/6. Why does it have to be a 4/4? So small. So, yeah. Back to demons. These guys are all the same. I guess the golden Wind Fury guy from Mecha Jaraxxus is no longer going to give Mega Wind Fury, but it was tough to triple anyway. So yeah, the old demon comps, like Fellstomper and Fellbat comps, are still the same. I'd say you're going to see a little bit less of Fellbat comps, because Doomsayer is gone and the 6/6 demon is also gone. So the only way to play Fellbat is going to be with like Rafam, Maiev, just tripling into early 6-drops and getting a Fellbat with some small demons on their board. But now you have a new way to play demons, which is Weaver, which used to be unplayable, and it's now very, very playable. So the idea is you get a Weaver on 1, then you get a Soul Rewinder on 2, and then you get a Malsazar Prince on 3, and then you go to 5 and get Urzul and Imposing Persecutionist, whatever it's called, and Tikatus here. But what's gonna happen, in my opinion, is that some cheesy heroes like Aranna are just gonna stay on tier 1, tier 2, and maybe tier 3 and just farm these 3 cards. Like, you just play Aranna, you get like, I don't know, 6 or 8 Weavers. You will eventually triple into Soul Rewinder, and if you don't, you just level to tier 2 and get Soul Rewinder, and then eventually you triple into Prince Malsazar. That's what's gonna happen with demons. And then Urzul is gonna be useless because you're never gonna level to tier 4, so you can't get it. Imposing Persecutionist is gonna be useless as well, and this card as well. Like, all the tier 5 demons are just gonna be worthless because they don't work well with Fellbat. And the Weaver comp is just gonna play on tier 2 and tier 3. So, yeah. It looks like demons are at the extremes right now. Either you are super low tier or you are tier 6 gaming. We'll see how this plays out. Usually, when tier 1 strategies are really strong, Blizzard doesn't like that and nerf them. So maybe they will, actually most likely, they will either make Soul Rewinder tier 3, or I think the change that I would like better is limiting its effect, like making it twice per turn, maybe thrice per turn. You can proc it 3 times, and maybe they gave it like +1 attack, something like that, or like some extra health. But as if right now, this Soul Rewinder card is absolutely insane. So yeah, people are just gonna force Weaver plus Soul Rewinder. That's my take. Quilboars. The 1-drops stay the same, but we have some changes in the 2-drops. Instead of Broadboar, which always attacks into the big opponent minion and never gives you the gem, we now have a 3/2 Thorn Caller on tier 2. That's Death Rattles, gives you a gem. It doesn't have the Battle Cry anymore. So this is a little bit of a nerf to Bran plus Agem, but no one is playing that anyway, so who cares? And yeah, it's a way better 2-drop than Bannerboar. It's a way better 2-drop than Roadboar. So big fan of the change. On tier 3, Bannerboar stays the same. And we no longer have the Bristleback Brute. Instead, we have Moon Bacon Jezzer. 2/5, which is huge. Battlecry, for the rest of the game, your blood gems give an extra +1 health. If you are on tier 3 and you get this, I think you probably buy it. Especially if you have a gem synergy in your shop. And this is basically the new Bristleback Brute, right? If you get this with any gem synergy, you probably buy it. Like if you went 3-on-3. And then you have this extra effect for the rest of the game. And maybe you will end up playing Quilboars, and then it's pretty good. Other than that, I'd say that if you are already playing Quilboars, then you definitely buy this. Let's say you have Chagla on your board, or the new 6-drop. You probably want to buy this, right? It's so good. So much scaling over the course of the game. It's kind of like a Felemental. You know, when you have Felbat, sometimes you buy a Felemental, so your shops get +1/+1 for the rest of the game. This is the same thing for Quilboars, but it's just +1 health. Although you can get multiple gem procs in a turn, compared to Felbat that only procs once. So yeah, pretty strong effect. I like it. And it's definitely better than Bristleback for the Quilboar tribe as a whole. Because like, usually what you will do with Bristleback is you just make a big bristle and then you move the gem on a menagerie minion. This one is more in theme with Quilboars, which I like better. And then this stayed the same. And we have a new 4-drop. Instead of Ground Shaker, we have Prickly Piper. 6/3, Death Rattle. For the rest of the game, your blood gem give an extra +1 attack. So if you get this one early on, could be good. If you get it later on, maybe you want to end on it, use it as a bumper, and once you already have your synergies. And then you will keep getting +1 extra attack for the rest of the game. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like this will be too broken on tier 3. But on tier 4, it seems too slow. I would like it better as a Battle Cry than as a Death Rattle. But we will see. Maybe it's still really good. We will have to see. Pufferquill got nerfed. We already saw that. We no longer have Pumbaa, which is Agam. Instead, we have Bongo Bopper. So get ready to be bonged and bopped. It's a 5/5 Quilboar. At the end of your turn, get a blood gem and play 2 more on this. So this is basically +3/+3 per turn on a 5/5 body. That's very good. Plus, if you have any other synergies, it gets even better. And it has synergy with Duo as well, not only with the Piper and the Jezzer. So yeah, this card seems very good. Very good 5-drop for Quilboar. And it's also okay as a standalone. Like, let's say you triple into a 5, you triple into this. I think you're pretty okay with it. Like, it's a 7/7 that gives you a gem, and then it keeps getting bigger. Pretty good buff to duo as well, I would say. Because, like, before, if you had a duo, like, it only had synergy with Chagla. Now you can have duo and it synergizes with Bannerboard, Bongo Bopper, and Gem Smuggler. So you have a lot of synergies for this guy nowadays. Seems pretty good. And Poison getting nerfed. It's also kind of a buff for the duo. Knight is still the same, but the golden version no longer has Mega Wind Fury. And then Chagla, it's a 6/4/4 steal, and it only plays Blood Gem on your other minions. They nerfed it again. It no longer buffs itself. But we will see why later on. And Bristol Batch. So we no longer have the other guy. That used to be spend 5 gold, get a bunch of gems. We have a 2/10. Avenge 1, play a Blood Gem on all your Quilboars. So it buffs itself. That's why it's pretty small, kind of. Now, my issue with this card is that it happens during the fight. So, are you gonna keep the gems forever or not? To that, I don't have an answer. If you keep your gems forever, then this card is pretty nice, and it's gonna make the Prickly Piper good as well. Because you can just go Piper position 1, then you have like a Gas Coiler on any other Death Rattle on position 2, and this in the back with a bunch of Quilboars in the middle, like some duos to have some taunts. That sounds like a very strong comp. But if your gems are not permanent, then what are you doing, right? It's just a bird body. It's just a slightly better bird body, because you may have some synergies with duo and agam and stuff like that. But yeah, it's weird. We'll have to see if the Blood Gems buffs are permanent or not. In theory, they shouldn't be. Like, it's kind of like saying I play Goldrin, I get buffs forever. But at the same time, gems are not really buffs, so maybe they are permanent. On to Mechs. Mechs also have a pretty small pool. The 1-drops stay the same. With the 2-drops, we get a new magnetic, Lalabot. It's a 2/2 mech. Magnetic, at the end of your turn, gain +1/+1. So if you magnetize this onto something else, it's also gonna gain +1/+1 at the end of the turn. It keeps all the effects. So this is a baby Gru Rules, which is the Dark Moon prize. I believe Gru Rules gives +2/+2. And this one only gives +1/+1. But you can get it much earlier, right? You get it on turn 3. Gru Rules, you get it on turn 8. That's so much later. So, yeah, this seems good. Like, let's say you get this on turn 3. You just play it down, it's a 3/3, and it keeps getting +1/+1 forever. Or if you want, you can put it onto something else. Then on tier 3, we also have a Cordotron, another magnetic card. At the start of your turn, gain 1 gold, and it's a 2/3 mech. This card is pretty nutty. I will say that if you go 3-on-3 and you get this, you always buy it. And just, you either play it naked, or if you can put it on something, it's that much better. And yeah, this card is just really, really good. Like, if I'm playing Mechs, I'm buying every single one of these guys for a while. Like, if I don't think I'm gonna die in the next 2 turns, I always buy this. Then make the money back. And get the stats for free as well. So, yeah, pretty good card. Now on tier 4, we no longer have Greasebot. Instead, we have Scrap Scrapper, 3/6. Avenge 4, get a random magnetic mech. Yeah, this card is absolutely mental. This card is so insane that it's most likely gonna get nerfed. This card is super, super, super broken. So yeah, insane card for Mechs. Maybe it's not as broken Nah, never mind. This card is mega broken. Busted card. And you can get all the magnetics out of this from the moment you get it, because every magnetic card is like tier 4 and below. Yeah, insane card. And keep in mind, Kangor is still in the pool. I don't know why it's not in this picture, but it's still in the game. Although at the same time, we're still talking about mechs. If you wanna play any of this, you need to have a Deflecto. If you don't have at least one Deflecto, all of these cards become way worse. Like, it doesn't matter if you get random magnetics if you don't have Deflecto on your board, right? To capitalize on them. But still. Utility drawn. 4/5. At the end of your turn, give your minions +1/+1 for each magnetization they have. Wait. This makes all the other magnetic cards just that much better. Damn, such a good card. It's coming together, chat. The synergy is real. Like, I have a Deflecto with Menace and a Cordotron and maybe like a War Gear. You're telling me that this gives it +3/+3 at the end of each turn? That's sick. Plus, it's gonna buff all the other stuff. Like, you put Menace on this. Yeah, this seems so good, man. If it all comes together, it seems so good. Then we have Dr. Boombox, which stays the same. And now we have a new 6-drop. Polarizing Beatboxer. Whenever you magnetize another minion, it also magnetizes to this. So if you triple into a 6-drop and you get this, you are really sad. But if you are playing Mechs and you get this, like if you have the Scrapper, then you're really happy. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this card. It seems way too slow as a 6-drop. At the same time, though, with so much payoff and Jiraxus and stuff like that and Scrapper, it could work out, maybe, sometimes. So, yeah, mechs are looking fine. They no longer have Mechrill, and they lost Greasebot as well. But Greasebot was not that great. Like, utility drawn seems better than Greasebot. And Scrapper is definitely better than Greasebot. So now the thing is, if you don't have Deflecto, you can't really play any of these other cards, right? So I will say that mechs look really good if you have Deflecto, or if you are playing Ini. Ini seems super broken, because the Scrapper has synergy with the Hero Power, and the Hero Power can give you Scrapper, and it can give you Deflecto. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like unless you get Deflecto, you're not really gonna play mechs. But when you do play mechs, you're probably gonna have a good time. They look pretty solid. But they really depend on the Deflecto and the Scrapper to make everything else work. Obviously, you can still play Boomboxer, you can still play Buster, and you can play for Reaper in your Menagerie comps. And that was it for the tribes. Now let's talk about some neutrals. Mistake is the new tier 1. We no longer have Tipper, we now have Amalgam on tier 1. This is all types. So the reason why they are doing this, it's because they are getting rid of poison. So the value of the Amalgam, it's way lower, because you can no longer make Divine Shield poison. And as far as I'm aware, you can't even grant the new poison in any way, right? There's no new Toxfin, there's nothing that gives Venomous. So the whole point of the Amalgam is gonna be to mishmash different tribes together. But we already have dual tribe minions to do that. So maybe this card will actually be completely useless, and maybe they will just remove it. So for the tier 2 neutrals, they all stayed the same. tier 3, same thing. On 4, actually on tier 3 we lost Arm of the Empire. It was a pretty cool card. Pretty good for Module as well. And George. And then on 4, Jug stays. We also get to keep Firework Fanatic. I was wondering if they will remove this once buddies were gone, but I guess not. We'll have to see if it's gonna be good. They're actually adding some more Firework Fanatic synergies with Upbeat Duo. Battlecry, choose a minion. At the end of every 2 turns, this gives you a plain copy. So yeah, it has synergy with Firework. So basically you play this, you target your Firework or anything else, and after 2 turns you get a pair and you get a Firework proc. But then you have to sell this because it's not gonna do anything else, right? Oh, actually, maybe this resets and keeps going after the first proc. I don't know about that. But either way, like it's an interesting synergy. And they're also keeping Elise, so you can still do the Elise Firework shenanigans. Although, you can no longer get the monkey into a friend of a friend, because friend of a friend is actually being removed. Instead, we have a new 5-drop, which is the Drakari Enchanter. Your end of turn effects trigger twice. This is basically Ragnarok's buddy, but anyone can use it. And it's a 5-drop. And this is the reason why they removed Pumbaa and they nerfed Charlie, so that she doesn't buff herself anymore. We'll have to see if this is gonna be good enough. It has synergy with Magmaloc and Charlie mainly. It also has some synergy with Felbat, but not that good of a synergy. And maybe it has synergy with some hero powers. Like for example, if you have this on Ragnaros, you get double proc. If you have it on Togwaggle, your hero power gets -2 gold at the end of the turn instead of just -1. But I don't know if there are other synergies. We will see if this is good or not. Probably gonna see some type of plays, I will assume. And then for the 6-drops, we no longer have Theotar. Instead, we have the Boogie Monster. Oh, obviously, the Enchanter also has synergy with Fort, but as we all know, Fort is just a terrible card. But I guess if you triple into a 4th and you have some taunts on your board, you can now roll on tier 5 and try to get this guy. And maybe that's gonna be good, right? So the Boogie Monster, what is this? It's the new Theotar. 3/8. After you play a tier 1 minion, progress to the next tier and give your minions +1/+2. Important note, this also buffs itself. It just buffs all your minions. But instead of being +2/+2, it's just +1/+2. But Theotar only buffed 3 minions. Now, the good thing about Theotar is that you could buy cards like Patient Scout and Friend of a Friend to get multiple procs out of one card. With this guy, I don't know if there is any card that you buy and then gives you something from a higher tavern tier. I don't think so. You just have to go all the way up. Also, like once you play a 6-drop, what happens? Like, do you have to keep playing 6-drops or does it go back to 1? I don't know. Either way, since this thing also buffs itself, it's probably gonna be somewhat playable. But honestly, it looks pretty bad. This kinda looks like a worse Caligos, but it's neutral. Because Caligos only gives +1/+1, but now has a lot of synergies. I don't see any synergy with this, but if we discover some neat combos, then it's gonna be good. As if right now, like if you have 0 synergies, it seems very slow. Queen got reworked as well. It's now venomous instead of poison. And then it adapts into Reborn instead of Divine Shield. So Queen actually got buffed. Because having a Venomous Reborn, it's way better than having a Poison Divine Shield. Since it plays around Ghoul or Blaster, and it plays around Leroy, and it plays around Bumpers. And once it's Reborns, it no longer has Taunt. Like, it's so broken in so many different ways that I really hope that the Cinderace becomes available just as a neutral, even if Undeads are banned, just to counter Mantid Queen. Because, yeah, it's gonna be mega broken. Like, Mantid Queen looks super overpowered. I honestly wish they would keep Poison Divine Shield for this instead of reworking it. But hey, it is what it is. One thing to note is that not all of this is going to be live at the same time. Like, the patch is gonna go live on May 9, but when it goes live, we'll just get Beast, Murloc, Dragon, Elemental, Naga, and Undead. The rest of the tribes will come later. So 2 days later, we'll get Pirates. And then 4 days later, like 4 days after that, which is basically like 6 days after the initial patch, we'll get Demons. And then a week after that, we'll get Quilboars and Mechs. My guess is that there will only be like 6 tribes in the game for a little bit. And then there will be 7, and then there will be 8, and then there will be 10 again. But we'll see. Also, don't forget that to celebrate this new Battleground season, from May 9 to May 16, if you just watch some Twitch streams and you have your Twitch account linked with Battle.net, you can just get this skin for free. So if you want a free brand skin, just make sure to watch some streams once the patch goes live and you'll get it. Also, make sure to check my Twitch, link right in the description. Thank you so much if you sticked around up until now. This was an insane patch review for an insane patch. And don't forget to subscribe and comment down below for more. See you all in the next one.